Hi there. I'm going to write you a timed essay. I'm going to use the Treaty of Versailles as the topic, but I'm going to try and randomly select the ABC question that I'm going to answer. I'm not doing this to show off. I'm doing it to try and show that if you're on top of your subject, i.e. if you've done your revision, you too will be able to write a A-star level essay. There is enough time in the exam. If there wasn't, it wouldn't be a fair exam and nobody would get an A-star. So it's a chance to show you that this is possible, and we'll see how it goes. Cheers. This is my collection of past exam questions that I've laid out under the different topics. I'm going to give it a little spin and see which question we're going to try and attempt to answer. Let's see what happens. Alright, let's have a look at this fella. May-June 2010, paper 13. If you're not aware, this is because the papers come in 3 different regions, and for my purposes I identify paper 13 from region 3, so don't worry about the strange number. Let's see. What were Germany's main territorial losses under the Treaty of Versailles? Okay, we'll try and get an answer for you. Clearly, no, I'll give it a space. Clearly, Germany was forced to hand back Alsace, Lorraine to France. That's an obvious one. Now I should get a mark for that, but let's make sure. So we'll add that clinches a mark and probably gets me too. Germany was forced to hand back Alsace-Lorraine to France, which it took from France after the Franco-Prussian War in 1870. But what else did Germany lose? Well, Poland is another obvious place to go. West Prussia, good old Possum, were handed over to Poland. Right, let's go while we're on Poland. The port of Danzig, where's my Z? The port of Danzig became a free port, and an area of land around it called the Polish Corridor was also handed to Poland. Oh, let's clinch it. This split East Prussia from the rest of Germany. I reckon I've got 4 marks there, so I'm going to move on. Let's not waste time. So what's the second question? Why did the Treaty of Versailles cause problems for Germany from 1919 to 1923? So we note that 1923 is the end date. That means we can include the French occupation of the Ruhr in 1923. Problems. Want to write 2 paragraphs to get full marks, and it's going to be a nice split between economic problems and, I think, political problems. So, cause problems for Germany. Just a simple introductory paragraph, no marks there, but it gets me focused. 1919, there was post-war inflation to deal with, and hyperinflation in 1923. So I deal with two types of inflation there. What else can I write? Germany lost territory, which meant it lost farms, factories, and mines. This meant a loss of profits. But with territory, let me just put the space there for you. But with territory comes the most important loss. Germany also lost the most important thing in history, people. And this meant a loss of workers, a loss of consumers, and a loss of taxpayers. Not sure taxpayers is one word or two, but never mind. It's the history that's important. Now then, all of this would, because this is an economic paragraph, all of this would make it harder for Germany to pay the dreaded, I'm not going to write that, but the dreaded reparations. Now that's a pretty good paragraph. Germany had a number of problems as a result of the Treaty of Versailles. There was post-war inflation to deal with and hyperinflation in 1923. Germany lost territory, which meant it lost farms, factories and mines. So I'm showing I understand the implications of the territorial losses. This meant a loss of profits. Germany also lost people, and this meant a loss of workers, a loss of consumers, and a loss of taxpayers. All of this would make it harder for Germany to pay the reparations. I show knowledge and I show the implications, and so I show understanding. But I'm going to look at political factors as well. Alright, so, what will we go for? The treaty was known to Germans as the Treaty of Shame, and 1923 was a humiliation for Germans. Let's add there a further humiliation. I know you can't do this going back in the exam, but live with me. What am I going to write? There was unrest from the right wing. in Germany in this period. For example, we've got the Kapp-Putsch and the Munich Beer Hall Putsch. Both a direct result of Germany's acceptance of what had happened to it. Yeah. Could be more eloquent there, but I think that will do. When Germany claimed it couldn't, sorry, I just spotted that in the corner of my eye. I should add, I do all my typing with 2 fingers. So I'm sorry if it's a bit laborious. Where was I? When Germany claimed it couldn't make its second reparations payment, French and Belgian troops occupied the Ruhr, which I want to bring it to that humiliation, which caused that further humiliation and made the government look weak by urging German people to passively resist the French. The government was forced to print more money to pay the workers, which led to the hyperinflation and severe problems for Germans, for which they never forgave the government. So I think that is a pretty good answer. Germany had a number of problems as a result of the Treaty of Versailles. There was post-war inflation to deal with and hyperinflation in 1923. Germany lost territory, which meant it lost farms, factories and mines. This meant a loss of profits. Germany also lost people, and this meant a loss of workers, a loss of consumers and a loss of taxpayers. All this would make it harder for Germany to pay the reparations. The treaty was known to Germans as the Treaty of Shame, and 1923 was a further humiliation for Germans. There was unrest from the right wing in Germany in this period, for example the Kapp-Putsch and the Munich Beer Hall Putsch, both a direct result of Germany's acceptance of what had happened to it. When Germany claimed it couldn't make its second reparations payment, French and German troops occupied the Ruhr, which caused that further humiliation that I've referred to. That further humiliation already referred to. and made the government look weak. By urging German people to passively resist the French, the government was forced to print more money to pay the workers, which led to the hyperinflation and severe problems for Germans for which they never forgave their government. Well, I think I've packed a lot into that, and I think I deserve full marks. Okay, what's this third question? Let me give myself some space. How far did the Big Three achieve their aims at the Paris Peace Conference? Okay, well, this question requires us to. Often it's a kind of a discussion, and this is how far. But normally we have 2 points on one side and a point on the other. Here I'm going to go for, because I've got the Big Three, I'm going to have a paragraph on each of the Big Three, and I'm going to go for what they got out of the conference and what they missed out from getting. So, I don't know. Let's start with good old Clemenceau, because he's the hardest to spell and I need to concentrate. Clemenceau, that's how I always remember it. Clemenceau, what did he get? Clemenceau made France more secure by forcing Germany to disarm and demanding that the Rhineland was demilitarized. Okay. Let's not forget, he also ensured that, although I think this was a gimme, but he also made sure that Alsace-Lorraine was returned to France. Anything else? I think that will do. We got 3 paragraphs to write here, and I've got another half of this still to write. However, we always have good old however helps us. However, Germany wasn't dismembered, can I say that? Wasn't dismembered as he had hoped, nor was even the Rhineland made an independent state. And I never worry about beginning sentences with and. And although he secured an Anglo-American guarantee to come to France's aid, if ever needed, it wasn't ratified. So he didn't really get it. It wasn't ratified. Okay. I think that's okay for Clemenceau. We'll read through it again, but let's move on to Lloyd George. Lloyd George was keen to protect. Where am I on the spelling? To collect British interests, and he did secure the safety of the lowland ports and those of northern France, which would keep Britain safe from invasion. He also secured a weakened German navy. I'm going to add something there. A much weakened German navy, which also kept Britain safe as well as its empire. But it was, a much weakened Germany with a hyphen. But it was a harsher treaty than he had hoped for, and this would leave Germany bitter and likely to want revenge, and it would also make it harder for Britain to trade with Germany, which Lloyd George wanted. Okay, I'm charging on. A paragraph there for Lloyd George that I think is fine. Wilson, oh, good old Wilson. President Wilson came with, let's get his 14 points in here, came with his 14 points and wanted a just peace and a lasting peace. He got a League of Nations, and he prevailed with his call for self-determination and democracy in the former Austro-Hungarian Empire, and that would do there, I think. But what didn't he get? Well, like Lloyd George, he would be like Lloyd George, he would be disappointed that Germany was treated so harshly. What else? Which might well affect future peace. Not all his 14 points were achieved, and so now I've got to give myself an example. Not all his 14 points were achieved. For example, free access to the seas whilst, of course, ultimately the treaty was wasn't ratified. So, I think 3 pretty good paragraphs there. I'm going to go for the conclusion while I'm on a roll, and then we'll read through it and see what it looks like. And I'll even give Wilson his full name. Full name. Now we've got to reach a conclusion, and this is a trickier one because normally it's a how far, so but I don't want to do 3 how fars. Of the 3 leaders, I think would have been most pleased as the conference ended. He might not have been so pleased later, as his number 1 aim, French security, seemed to have been achieved. How's that? So let's read that through. I think we're on for full marks here. Clemenceau made France more secure by forcing Germany to disarm and by demanding that the Rhineland was demilitarized. He also ensured that Alsace-Lorraine was returned to France. However, Germany wasn't dismembered as he had hoped, nor was even the Rhineland made an independent state. And although he secured an Anglo-American guarantee to come to France's aid, if ever needed, it wasn't ratified. Lloyd George was keen to protect British interests, and he did secure the safety of the lowland ports. If you're wondering what the lowland ports are, the examiner would know, but they're the Dutch and the Belgian ports, and those of northern France, which would keep Britain safe from invasion. Give him a capital He. He also secured a much weakened German navy, which also kept Britain safe as well as its empire. But it was a harsher treaty than he had hoped for, and this would leave Germany bitter and likely to want revenge, and it would also make it harder for Britain to trade with Germany. President Wilson came with his 14 points and wanted a just peace and a lasting peace. He got a League of Nations. I'll give it a capital N. He got a League of Nations, and he prevailed with his call for self-determination and democracy in the former Austro-Hungarian Empire. Like Lloyd George, however, he would be disappointed that Germany was treated so harshly, which might well affect future peace. Not all his 14 points were achieved, for example, free access to the seas, whilst of course, ultimately, the treaty was not ratified by the American Congress. Of the 3 leaders, Clemenceau would have been most pleased as the conference ended, as his number 1 aim, French security, seemed to have been achieved. I think, I don't know how long I've taken, but I'm sure I'm under time. I think we have an A-star answer to those 3 questions. Hope that was useful for you. Cheers. Now I hope I've shown that there is enough time to write a top grade essay, an A-star essay. If the exam didn't give you enough time, it wouldn't be a fair exam, and nobody would be getting an A-star. But it is a fair exam, and people do get A-stars. The key is whether you are on top of your subject or not, whether you've done that revision. I'll repeat this exercise working through the different topics, League of Nations and so on. But I hope it's been useful for you.